I always just go out there and I do my own thing. I have a rule about the content I make. I always, when I get an idea for a video, I ask myself, if the camera wasn't rolling, would I still be doing this? And if the answer is no, I'm not going to make that video.
That's a good question,
Joe.
Yeah. Good question.
Joe, would you be using bobbers if you weren't filming it?
Yeah, I love bobbers. Hello and welcome to episode number 62 of the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. I am your host, Joe Santiago, and as always, my partner, Chris Pereira.
Cheers.
We went fluking, get right into the fishing report. I had spoken to Chris Lido 3 or 4 days ago from the Gambler. Things had sounded pretty dreary. And then I got a text from today that things have turned. Gambler made a post today into mayhem with a lot of people holding a lot of nice fluke. It seems like it's probably looks like the best trip they've had since the closure of sea bass. As the ocean temperature continues to warm, the fluking's going to get better. So, so far, fingers crossed, it looks like it's off to a good start now. Possibly, unless the south wind comes back.
Yeah, well, you know. And you're always, the thing about the Gambler, you're always going to get a real report, seems like.
Yeah, he's pretty honest.
He's not going to bullshit
This was the first positive one I've gotten in a while. It's been kind of dreary other than the night trips, but they're picking at him. I mean, it's not like it's like a dead horse, but they're picking away. But the past 2 days, they've done real well.
Yeah, and that being said, like, you know, I know there's guys that are looking for, you know, if you're going on the internet and you're looking for a good report to go out fishing, what's going to happen is you're either going to follow a bullshit report or you're going to miss it, or you're going to, you know what I mean? Like it's never going to work out there. You just got to go. Like if you got time to fish and you want to fish and you want to catch fish, you're going to got to go as many times as you can. And you can't wait for the report. I mean, we all know that. It just never works. Never works out.
Me and Chris got out for the first time with Mike Reiner. We've been in communication with him for a while through the podcast. Finally got to meet him in person. Really good, cool guy. He took us out to do some shallow water back bay fluking. Ended up, I got one keeper basically on a bucktail teaser. And then we just decided to dead stick this slip bobber rig out, you know, set the bait maybe 1 foot, 1.5 feet off the bottom depth on the fish finder. And sure as shit, we brought 2 keepers up on the bobber. The bobber outfished everything. Me and Chris were both fishing a bucktail teaser with gulp and achille, which is fairly common, and Mike was fishing pretty much like his secret thing that he always fishes. And the bobber outfished everything again, and it's getting criticized on the internet everywhere. The masses cannot handle bobbers. I'm not sure where bobbers have like hurt everyone somehow. It's become the biggest enemy to bass fishermen across the country.
Can we get shirts made that have?
No, don't say it because someone's going to steal the idea.
What do you mean?
Don't say it. You're going to talk about
an idea like this anyway. I don't think. Oh, if someone makes the shirts, then I don't have to pay to make the shirts, and I can have one. I'm sure they'll give me one. I just wanted to say, show me on the doll where the bobbers hurt you. You know what I mean? I mean, it's crazy, dude. I'm like, I'm trying not to argue with people because it's just the stupidest argument in the world. Like, I'm not going to argue with you about it.
The
It
thing
freaking works. If
I think
me
what the
using a
problem is,
bobber hurts your feelings that much, then don't fucking look at it.
they think that you're using the bobber to like wait for it to go under because you don't know how to fish. They think like you're casting bobbers out and looking at them and, oh, I got a bite. That's not what we're using. The bob, I don't actually need a Kmart bobber. Like, if you give me like a small piece of floating driftwood that I could wrap my line around, that'll work too. I need something that holds the bait at the depth of the strike zone. Anything that floats, I'll use like a pretzel. I don't care what it is.
And you know what? Like, I'm trying to, like, look, Mike told us, he said, you know, we're fishing in the back bay over there. That was the first time I fished over there in that area. I don't know if he even wants us to say the area, but whatever. It's not my information to give. But I'd never fished in that area before. And he mentioned that it could be a little weedy. You get a lot of seaweed clumping around on the bottom. And if you're fishing the traditional way for fluke, right, even if you're using a weight or the hook cut off on the bucktail, right, like a wonder rig or whatever they call it, it's going to get, the weeds are going to gunk up in the front there, but like they're going to get caught between the line and whatever you're using for a weight. And if sometimes you could shake it off, sometimes you can. Eventually it builds up and it pulls your stuff back. It just gets annoying sometimes. And that's why I told you, I said, you thought I was joking at first, right?
I thought you were trying to embarrass me in front of the guy, and you were trying to get me to show up with it.
No, I was dead serious, and I'm glad.
Well, I brought it. I brought one single setup.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I would have brought mine, but I'm down to 4 good slip bobbers, and they're all set up right now for freshwater fishing. I didn't feel like taking it all off and redoing it, whatever. So you had one that wasn't on anything. I told you to bring it. And yeah, I mean, dude, why wouldn't you want to suspend your bait in the exact spot that you want it to without having to deal with the weeds? Plus, I could do it and still fish the other way. So it gave us one more bait out there that didn't have to be worried about. I had brought the extra rod. You tied it up on there. I put the leader on there with the hook, and I threw it out with a freaking killie, and I knew exactly where it was. I could see the bottom. I could set it wherever I wanted. I only had to change it a couple of times, and it only got caught. I don't think it ever got caught in the bottom. It picked up some seaweed off the bottom, maybe 2 or 3 times the whole day. And it's just another bait out there, and it destroyed the rest of the 3 of us. I'm not even taking credit for it. It was just out there doing its thing. I just flip it out there.
It was literally, it's exactly the same thing Chuck Manny does on a smaller scale, basically.
Kind of, except he doesn't care about getting close to the bottom. I mean,
yeah, you got to keep these down. I understand that.
I'm not even sure you do, because a couple of times I set it up higher because I didn't want to redo it. And I was probably like 2 or 3 feet down in like 9 or 10 feet of water, and that caught fluke too. They don't always just lay there and wait. They swim around. That's how, Roger catches them on jerk baits and stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be right there on the bottom.
Yeah. All right.
I've heard the guys catching them on top water. I'm sure I've never done that often, but
we already talked to Roger The jerk bait thing was kind of like a new one to hear. Now top water is just something I've never seen. I'm going to look that up though.
I don't think it's like a thing where like you go out and you tart, but it's happened. I've seen fluke hit top water, like when the peanut bunkers are around.
I mean, that's craziness. That's so cool. Yeah. The bass fishing, freshwater. Just real quick, actually, if you did want to like jump on a boat like the Gambler, which the Gambler is like one of the most beautiful party boats in New Jersey, but maybe you don't like live near the Gambler and you live closer to another port. NJFishing.com has basically a selection of all kinds of party boats and charters in the tri-state area. And Jerry Zagorski basically wouldn't advertise for a boat that sucks. So if they're on the website, njfishing.com, you could probably count on it being a fairly good party or charter boat. So, and also with that, you get to look at the archive, you get to see reviews and stories from each boat. So yeah, go to njfishing.com, look at all the party boats that are in your area, and you could find one easily and see which one you like the best and just jump on.
Yeah. And I've used charters, party boats, small charters, big charters, all over the place. I've gone all over the place fishing. And there's a couple of consistencies of how you're going fishing with a captain that knows what they're doing. And one of those things is they're always going to be real with you. They're never going to bullshit you on how the fishing's been. So if you follow some account or something and every time they post, it's great, it's great, it's great, it's always great, I guarantee you they're not that good. I can promise you.
Yes, I agree.
Even look at Jerry Pasquarino. He literally crushes fish more than anyone who bottom fishes that I've ever seen. And even he does. If anyone could probably do it and just say every time, "Oh yeah, it was awesome. We did this, we did that." Even he will tell you how it is. Oh yeah, we couldn't limit the boat today. We only got like a 3/4 boat limit. It wasn't that good.
If he goes porgy fishing, if he goes out on a porgy trip and that boat comes in missing one porgy, that was a garbage trip for him.
I don't know about that, but
no, he'll post it like struggled for the limit today. Like there's 899 porgies on the deck, and he's posting, I struggled for the limit today. It's just the way he is. He wants the limit or it sucked.
Yeah.
That's the price you pay for greatness. The bass fishing, the frog fishing apparently has somewhat picked up. If you like tossing frogs in the lily pads, that has been really good in the early morning. Also, the night top water fishing for bass, smallmouth and large, has been good. John Grab a Granny has been out couple nights on his app there. He put up some real big bags of fish. I think he's broke 20 pounds twice in the past week. John Dorn, I'm doing a top water basser tournament with John Dorn Saturday. Me and him are fishing Merrill Creek together as a team. The Open Buddy tournament or whatever it is. So, yes, I will be bass fishing and I'll be using lures. So, yeah, other than that, the pike fishing right now currently is fairly decent. If you're looking to pike fish, that's something to do. Trout fishing's kind of dead in the rivers because it's just too hot. You're going to kill them.
And keep in mind with the pike too. Just 1 second. And the pike too, just keep in mind that like you can kill them too if you don't. Just use heavy gear. Try to go on a cooler day. Try to stay near those cooler tributaries and stuff, and get them in fast. Take a quick picture, whatever, and hold them there. Make sure they're good to go. If you overfight a pike right now on a hot day, it's dead. It's going to die. Basically. Good chance.
All right. Mike Herman, I talked to Mike Herman today. He took a trip out this morning on Round Valley. They had 22 rainbow trout to the boat. Really high action, just crushing them. No giants, but just action all day. Like we said, really great for the kids. Very easy for kids to just reel the fish in. And they're really pretty fish. You could never really guarantee anything in fishing, but right now it's fairly on fire and the numbers are really high. Yellow dog paddle doing very well on Round Valley. He just basically, he's pretty much packing up off Merrill Creek. He's on Round Valley and he's now starting his Spruce Run hybrid trolling. So if you're looking to catch rainbow trout, lake trout, or big hybrids, Yellow Dog Paddle's currently on the fish real good. He has been too. Has consistency. I don't know. I have to keep saying it every week. He's just consistent. I'm hoping for a bad report eventually so I can come on here and say Yellow Dog Paddle did shit today. But so far,
and I did say in this episode that the best captains tell it to you how it is. And so anyone who only has good days is bullshitting you. But in this stretch, in this scenario, it's actually true. And I mean, he's got, like I said, look, I don't troll. I mean, it's not my favorite way to fish, but when something works as well as that, you can't argue with it. You just can't argue with it.
I mean, he did tell me, he said, listen, there was no size, like he didn't catch monsters. They're not monster rainbow trout, but 22 rainbow trout in one day is enough to keep anyone entertained, no matter what the size. So
you're giving yourself the chance at one of those monsters when you're catching those numbers, though. That's the whole thing.
That's true. You never know. So yeah, Yellow Dog Paddle currently doing just unbelievable. Call Mike Herman. Okay, so tonight's guest is ready to come in. He's been fishing New Jersey waters for almost 40 years. He's been posting to NJF.com now NJFishing.com now for almost 16 years. He's mainly only known by his NJFishing.com user tag, which is Lard Almighty. Lard Almighty, it is a pleasure to have you on the NJ Multi-Species podcast.
What's going on, Lard?
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, just so you know, Joe does not know what your real name is.
I do not.
That's okay. He's not alone.
And even though I do, I refuse to use it. I'm only going to refer to you as Lard Almighty.
I will say also, it's him and who's the other one? Ice Badger, who I've talked to many times in person. I have no idea what his name is either. I call him Ice Badger. And Lard Almighty and Ice Badger, and that's it.
I purposely forgot Ice Badger's real name just so I keep calling him Ice Badger.
I don't think there's any way to there's not even a way to contact Lard Almighty or Ice Badger if you don't have NJFishing.com. It's the only way to find these guys.
No, Lard actually has a cell phone. Ice Badger doesn't have anything. Ice Badger, the only way is to walk to his house and knock on the door, find him out fishing with the canoe, or message him on NJFishing.com.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know Ice Badger is actually a badger. That's why you can't find him online. He's just a literal badger.
It's possible.
He is a character, man.
So, Lard, you have Joe forgot to mention you also have a real popular YouTube channel that you've had. How long have you had that YouTube channel?
I've been posting on the YouTube channel since May of 2011. So that's over 13 years at this point.
So the NJ Fishing posting came first, and then did you kind of feel like, you can't put videos on NJFishing.com. Did you just kind of go from there, or are they just two totally separate things?
They were somewhat separate. I really dipped my toe into the social media waters back in 2008. That's when I joined NJ Fishing. That's when I joined Facebook, which I've since kicked to the curb. But the YouTube thing kind of developed on its own. I can actually point to one singular experience that sort of planted the seed in my head. I was fishing the Raritan River with my dad and one of his good friends, and we saw a blue heron flying through the sky, and it flew right into a set of high tension wires.
Oof.
And you could hear the high tension wires buzzing, and this bird was squawking like crazy, and it's just started falling straight to the ground. And about halfway down, it just kind of righted itself, started flapping its wings, and it flew off like nothing happened. And wow. I thought to myself, nobody would believe this if I didn't get it on video. So it was really that moment that was the moment when I really conceived of posting the fishing videos.
What kind of gear do you use? Do you use GoPros?
Yeah. I actually got the first GoPro that came out, the original Hero. Yeah. I had started the YouTube channel just when GoPro was starting to get really big. And since then, I'm now on my third GoPro right now.
Yeah, I think I am on my third. Chris is on his 0th. He doesn't have one.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about like when I get it, it's just there and like it's on, whatever, but you got to turn it on. And it's just like I'm fishing. I don't want to be bothered with it most of the time. But I don't want to go off topic, but I have a story about one of those herons too. And I just got to say, like, are those the dumbest birds around, or what's up with those things? Because this one time we're fishing on Lake Opakong, Dwayne takes a good cast into the water, but this bird decides it wants to just take off the point there and flies right into his line. He tried to give it slack, hoping the line would come off. Nah, just got totally tangled, ended up coming tight, had the bird pulled him out. He pulled the bird out of the air. It's flopped into the water. He had to reel it into the boat. And this thing is all tangled. We literally had to throw a wet towel over its head. I had to put the bird in a headlock with a towel over its head. And he had to cut all the lines and the lure off this thing. Like, what is wrong with these birds? They just fly into things. I've never seen this happen to any other animal.
I mean, I've seen seagulls fly into line down at the beach.
Yeah, okay. So herons and seagulls are just the dumbest birds in the world.
That could very well be the case. They don't seem too bright.
Now, I know, because obviously we make YouTube videos too, and like you're talking about, what you're actually filming never actually does that well. It's all the other shit that happens that gets crazy amounts of views that you just don't expect. Like, it's just weird. But do you ever find that you're like, when you're going out fishing, will you specifically do something because you know it's going to be popular on YouTube, or you just do what you want to do and it goes up on YouTube? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you kind of go after content that's going to be popular, or do you just do your thing?
I never play to trends or to what's hot on the platform. I always just go out there and I do my own thing. I have a rule about the content I make. I always, when I get an idea for a video, I ask myself, if the camera wasn't rolling, would I still be doing this? And if the answer is no, I'm not going to make that video.
That's a good question.
That, Joe?
Yeah. Good question.
Joe, would you be using bobbers if you weren't filming it?
Yeah, I love bobbers.
I mean,
Lard, what's your opinion of bobbers?
Bobbers are wonderful. I use bobbers quite a bit. I use them a lot in the wintertime when the water gets cold. I'll suspend like a finesse plastic underneath the bobber, and I normally do pretty well in the colder months with those.
I love this guy more.
Yeah, I want to be friends with you. We could be bobber friends. What do you think triggers bass fishermen about bobbers that just sets them into some sort of a psychotic panic when someone uses one?
It's because you don't see it done on, the Bassmaster television shows. You don't see Roland Martin using a bobber to catch 8-pound largemouths out of Okeechobee.
What's crazy to me is they could. It's legal. Am I wrong? I mean, I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's legal.
Oh, it's legal. Why wouldn't it be?
Can you put a float on your bat? And like, obviously you can't use live bait, but you can suspend. I mean, we suspend jigs and rubber plastics and all that crap under the bobber all the time, just to put the lure. You can't suspend a jig or a plastic exactly where you want it any other way.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what the bass tournament rules are for bobbers, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't use one.
Joe,
I've caught tons of bass on throwing my crappy bobber jig. Like, bass just hit it. I've caught big pickerel on it on accident. It works. I do know you can't throw it out and then do something else. Or like, you can't leave it there. You have to have the rod in your hand. That I'm almost 100% sure of. Were bobbers like back in the 80s when we were small? Were they like something that our parents used to beat their kids with? And now like everyone from like everyone from my generation is scarred for life.
Joe, what are you talking about?
They're scarred for life, Lard, by bobbers. Like they see a bobber and they just attack immediately.
Joe, can you go back to your notes?
You're saying that some dad took a bobber and just beamed his kid in the head with it, and that's why they hate him?
It could be, yeah.
That is what he's saying.
Yeah. I don't know what else.
Hold on. Let's get back on topic here. Bear with me. So if I'm in a bass contest, right, and we all know, okay, the stick bait, the Senko is the main, I don't know. What do you call that? A stick bait? Stick worm?
Yeah, stick worm.
All right. So that's a super effective lure in bass fishing. As silly as it is, just a straight stick worm, it works great. Okay. Why couldn't I put a bobber on that and fish that and suspend it exactly where I want it to go? If the bass are suspended 5 feet on the surface or 10 feet on the surface and they're not hitting a crankbait or a jerkbait that's going through that zone, I wouldn't put a bobber on and try a straight stick worm. I mean, I
certainly could try. I think that when you're working a stick worm, you do have to twitch it a lot of the time. So I think maybe having the bobber stuck to the line will interfere with that action.
Oh, I don't think so.
Right action out of it. I
don't think so because we do similar. We do similar for crappie. I'm shaking those crappie jigs a lot of the times, doing the same thing. Or you could reel it; it'll lift and then kill it. It'll drop back down and it'll shimmer down like that. Or you could just shake it just enough to move the line, barely, in the bobber, barely move it. It would just do this in place.
Dude, give it a shot.
Oh, if I was in that scenario,
and you feel like experimenting, just rig up a Senko underneath a float and see what happens.
Lard,
I'll set it right above the weeds.
Well, now the weeds are pretty high now. Well, if you had your perfect day, perfect conditions, you're going out to do whatever you want. What's your number one choice? Like, what's your favorite thing to do over everything else?
I think my favorite thing would be a foggy day in late spring, early summer, and I'd be going for river smallmouths on top waters.
Nice. So top water smallmouth fishing, that's your, and you emphasize that on river because it's the river and the lake is a big difference.
I just find that river smallmouths, they're not as finicky as lake smallmouths, and they just seem to fight harder when they come out of a river.
Yeah, anything in a river compared to its counterpart, the same species in a lake, I think that's usually going to be the case.
Well, they're constantly fighting the current to hold their position, so they're like basically like in the gym more than the lake.
Yeah, they're naturally stronger, I think. Yeah. Let me ask you, I did notice, obviously you have all kinds of, you have tons, how many off the top of your head by chance, how many full videos you have on YouTube on your channel?
I think by now I have over 550 videos.
Wow.
Yeah, like a lot. He has a lot of videos out, and obviously I haven't seen even close to all of them. But I did notice you do. I could have guessed that your favorite was river smallmouth fishing because a lot of your videos are going fishing in the river for smallmouth. But that being said, they're not. I mean, at least the couple handfuls that I've seen, they're not the same. It's always different. It's like you're going fishing and you're talking about all the thought processes in your head as you're fishing. So it's almost like, and this is a compliment, don't take this the wrong way, like the average Joe, the average angler, like us, go out there and all the thoughts that go through your head when you're going to a new section of river or a new lake or whatever, you're kind of just saying it out loud as you're fishing. And I think it's cool. It's very unique.
Yeah, I definitely want to give people kind of a window into my thought process, and I want to let them know why I'm doing the things that I'm doing and why I think it should work. because a lot of other YouTube fishermen, they'll just go out and they'll fish. A lot of times they won't even say anything, and it's like, well, this is stupid. I'm just watching somebody else catch fish. This isn't rewarding me in any way. I'm not learning anything from this guy. So by going through my mental process and sort of breaking it down and trying to figure it out, saying, okay, based on these conditions, based on, this water clarity, this time of year, I'm thinking the fish are doing this. So I'm going to use this specific presentation because I think this is going to work. And if it works, then there's your video. If it doesn't work, then I got to rethink things and then figure something else out. And that's what a lot of my videos are all about. They're just going fishing and trying to figure it out, because that's what most people wind up doing when they go fishing.
Right. And sorry. And if I'm going out and I like to fish one of the many different things that you have a video of fishing, if I watch one of these videos, it's only one more little piece of a tool that I can use when I go out there. And as we all know in fishing, I mean, nothing's ever 100% or 0%. It's always somewhere in the middle. Some things work a lot of the time. Some things may even work 99% of the times. But nothing, absolutely nothing in fishing ever works 100% of the time or 0% of the time, in my opinion.
Absolutely. That's the truest thing you could ever say about fishing.
Yeah. And I don't know if you do this in all your videos, but I do. If you go out and you're fishing and the first couple of things don't work, at least in some of the videos I saw, that stays in the video. A lot of these guys with the YouTube channels, if they go fishing and they don't catch anything for the first hour, not that I'm saying there's an hour of nothing, like you edit it.
Yeah, yeah.
That first part where you're going through a thought process and the first couple of things that you try don't work, that doesn't get erased. And then just you make a video that makes it look like the first thing you tried when you went there worked like a charm. And every time you go out, the fish just jump right on your hook the first thing you try. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I do that because I don't have much of an ego when it comes to fishing. I mean, a lot of times the fish will totally kick my ass, and I accept that. And instead of getting mad about it, I use that opportunity to learn something.
Right. And that's the learning process. And it's the same thing if someone's watching your video. You're going to learn, I don't know, just as much, but you're going to learn almost as much, or at least something, by watching someone do something and it not work or it fail, than if you watch them do the next thing and it does work. It might just be a small modification sometimes. Sometimes the difference between something working in fishing and something not working in fishing is, I mean, could be like the color of a flake on the thing, or like a 2 or 1 pound difference in the test of the line.
It could be that bad.
It's usually not that bad, but in certain circumstances, yeah, it can come down to very subtle differences in either the size of the lure, the color of the lure, the way you're presenting the lure, line diameter. So yeah, those things definitely matter.
One time, I mean, the most that I think I see it is with steelhead fishing. You basically, like, you could keep 12-pound test on and you might hook 2 fish all day, but you actually have a shot to land them. Or you could go down the 6-pound test and you'll probably hook 8 fish, but you have a chance at landing none of them. So you kind of have to make that decision of, do you want to hook them or land them, quantity, or actually like get one to the hand. Would you say you have a preference of catching fish on lures over live bait, or you don't care either way, whatever is working?
I definitely prefer using artificials.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not a bait and wait kind of guy. I don't like having, I don't like, setting my rod down and just kind of waiting for the fish to find it.
But you don't care if other people use it?
No, absolutely not. You can do whatever you want. I mean, there's There's people out in Oklahoma who reach down into a muddy river and yank a catfish out by its tonsils. I would never do that, but hey, if that makes you happy, go do it, man.
I'm just like, I'd do it if you could 100% guarantee that the only thing in that hole is a catfish. There's no freaking way I'm sticking my hand in an underwater hole if I don't know what's in it.
I could 100% guarantee if I do it, there's a world record snapping turtle in the hole. Guarantee it.
Right.
No doubt.
You're losing a finger, guaranteed.
Or some sort of poisonous snake that no one has the anti-venom for anywhere on Earth.
Yeah, pretty much. Man, you totally took me off topic now. I wanted to ask Lard something, and now I totally forgot it with that. With
most of his videos he does you're mostly land-based, right?
Yeah. Most of the time, I'm either fishing from shore or I'm wading in the river, because that's the most relatable way to go fishing.
See, one thing I can relate to you with, because we do the boat fishing, it's much easier to hide stuff on a boat. Trying to make videos sometimes from these land-based spots can be tricky, especially if you don't want to lose the spot, because once you give it up on YouTube, you're done. I mean, you know what's going to happen. Do you take extra precaution to make sure you're not like putting a dead giveaway backdrop in your video?
I mean, I never, well, with a few exceptions, I don't name the places that I go fishing. But I'll film the whole place. I mean, if you can look at it and you can tell by the landmarks where it is, then, that's no different than going on Google Street View and finding a place to fish. So yeah, I mean, I don't like broadcast where these places are, but I don't leave anything secret either. I mean, I'm showing you the whole place.
Yeah, that's kind of what Chris says. Like Chris, we don't say it out loud, but if you're good enough to figure it out from the video, you probably deserve to go fish there and know what you're doing. Yeah. So,
yeah, like, I mean, I've had guys, I'll post a picture and the only thing in the background is like this rock and tree combination that is kind of unique, right? So if you've fished whatever this water body is a couple of times and you're familiar with it, you'd recognize that tree and rock combination. But I've had them like try to give me a hard time about it. And I'm like, dude, if anyone who looks at that picture and sees that tree and that rock and knows where it is has already been there. They already know the spot. Like, as long as you're not, taking a picture of the boat ramp or something and telling people where you're going. And even then, half the time, I don't really like. If it's Lake Hopatcong, I don't care. Hey, I'm on Lake Hopatcong with 1,000 other boats, whatever. But like, I get the small spots, obviously, but guys got to take it down a notch. Like, you're not burning a spot because you have some of the shoreline in the picture. As long as you don't say the name of the place, the only people that are going to know it are the people that are already there. And like what Joe said, if someone's willing to put in the work to kind of go around and look for spots and they finally find one and it matches one of the backgrounds in Lard Almighty's video where he caught some nice smallmouth, then you've earned the right to fish there. I mean, the other option, and I'm real passionate about this part here. The other option of not posting anything online and not sharing anything with anyone and not contributing anything to the fishing community is to do nothing and not contribute anything. Those are the people I hate the most. I really do, because they're using the information on the internet, because they're there. Why else would they be there to give you a hard time about it? They're there, they're getting information from it, and they're contributing nothing back. Nothing at all. Those are the guys that piss me off the most, if I'm being honest.
I don't think Lard has any comment.
He hit the nail on the head. That was beautiful.
He's just agreeing with you in silence.
Yeah,
that was
10
the
out of 10,
longest
no notes.
That was the longest period of silence this podcast has ever had. So I have to imagine that was the greatest thing ever said on this podcast.
Lard, is there anything you want to talk about on the podcast instead of us asking you stuff? Is there anything you want to bring up?
Honestly, nothing that I haven't already brought up in some of my videos. I mean, I could
direct people to some of your videos if you want. I mean, what's I know you've watched the podcast almost from the beginning, if not from the beginning, and you've given us some ideas for guests and stuff, and you've been a contributor to the comment sections of our podcast as well. Is there anything in an old episode or something that you kind of wanted to throw your 2 cents in, or anything like that?
Well, I just wanted to comment. Who did you have on talking about fishing for fluke from the shore a few weeks ago?
Roger I.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that I thought was a really fun episode, because that's something I really like to do too. I like to go down to the shore, early mornings in the summertime, pre-dawn before all the bennies show up, and just cast light gear along the beach looking for fluke. And, sometimes you can get to a spot where the bottom is just paved with them. They might not all be big, but if you're throwing like a medium light rod with 8-pound test with like a little 1/4 ounce jig, that's some of the most fun fishing you can have.
We never realized how popular it was until we posted that episode. And I think that episode is like the most popular video episode we've posted. I guess that's a huge thing in New Jersey, is surf fishing for fluke.
I think, maybe guys really like doing it. Maybe they don't. I've never, I have to have tried it at some point, but I never put in any serious effort in it for sure. So I'll just, for all intents and purposes, I've never really done it. Since you do it, how difficult is it to put together like a catch of keeper size fluke?
For where I go fishing, I mean, I don't fish the prime spots. I don't fish like Island Beach or, places with a lot of shoreline features where the fluke will really stack up. So where I fish, it's not really easy. I might go out, half a dozen times over the summer fishing for fluke, and I might get 1, maybe 2 keepers off the beach, but I'm not really focused on getting keepers either. I'm just looking for bites because I'm using light tackle. And even if I hook, a 14-inch fluke, that's going to put up a nice fight on light gear. So I'm not really too focused on the size of the fish.
Do you get a lot of short life? Like a lot of action on short life?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Would you say you like, is it a pretty far walk? Like you could just keep walking as far as you want, just keep casting, right?
I mean, I find that a lot of the fish will stack up toward, like on groins and jetties, like anywhere where there's rocks, or if there's like a pipe going into the water, that might hold some fish. But if the fish are really in the wash and there's bait in there too, you can walk for a mile up and down the beach and just keep casting as you're walking, and you can get bit pretty consistently.
See, that's really cool. I wouldn't mind doing that.
No, I told Roger, like, I was serious too. I might start bugging him to like let me tag along at one of his not secret spots or something, because I kind of do want to try it. And I typically, I want to go on a boat. Like if I'm going fishing, I want to go on a boat, except for a couple of, special circumstances where it's either better from shore or just as good from shore, then that's fine.
Yeah, but I don't have a saltwater boat. And if I could just drive down to the beach with my kids whenever I want and maybe have a chance at a keeper fluke, that'd be pretty cool. Plus, it sounds like good exercise.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Lard. So, I mean, without giving away too much information, you typically fish, we want to call it Central Jersey, or do we not believe Central Jersey exists? I don't know.
No such thing.
South Central. What do you want to call it? Where the area that you fish?
It's either North Jersey or Philadelphia.
I'm based out of Monmouth County, So I do a lot of fishing in that area. And I go up to the Raritan River a lot, which is more north. But mainly it's like the small ponds in like Monmouth and Northern Ocean County is where I fish.
Do you ever fish that one reservoir down there that has hybrids in it?
Manasquan?
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but do you fish it ever?
Is it
any good?
I've fished the Manasquan a few times. You do need a boat to fish the Manasquan.
How does it compare to like Spruce Run and Lake Apacon?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because I don't have a lot of experience on those lakes.
Okay.
Well, was it good for hybrids there, or the times you went, or no?
Honestly, again, I couldn't tell you because if you're targeting hybrids in that lake, I really do think you need a boat.
I thought you said you fished it from a boat.
No, I have not fished that from a boat. I haven't fished much of anything from a boat. And the other thing with Manasquan, I think they close it at dark, so you can't get on the night bite like you can at Spruce Run.
Right.
Well, that sucks.
Well, summertime has a good hybrid bite. There's a good summertime daytime hybrid bite that happens right around now, going into the rest of the summer almost. But yeah, I don't know anything about. That's one of the big New Jersey lakes that I have not fished at all. So let me ask you, so is there anything in New Jersey or the surrounding areas that you still haven't yet got to do, but that you really want to do or even have plans of doing soon?
I have more than once thought about trying for snakeheads down in the southern reaches of the Delaware in those back bays.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how I would go about that because that's an area where, again, you kind of need a boat or a kayak to fish it effectively. I'm sure there are some spots along shore where you could get them, but I just have no idea where they are. So I would probably have to do some scouting for that.
There are definitely a lot of spots that you can fish from shore and basically anything that at any recent time was connected to the Delaware. Like I'm talking, if when the Delaware comes up a couple of feet, it connects to this pond or something, there's a real good chance they're in there. If you're below a certain, I don't know, below Route 78 or whatever. So,
the snakehead anglers are not that open to sharing information. Like they're kind of tight-lipped on these snakehead spots.
Well, because
they're not easy to figure out because they're in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and that's because of like this this, I don't know, I'm just going to call it propaganda. I don't really know what your opinion is on it. You can give it after I'm done, but this propaganda that they've spread that like the snakeheads are going to destroy every fishery that they come in contact with. Like, I get it. They're invasive. They didn't want them here. That's all long gone. They're here. They're established. It's pretty much proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that these places still have bass. They still have not. They didn't eat all the bass and decimate populations of anything. They've just kind of fit right into whatever the ecosystem was where they got into, and life goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the hard, population numbers are regarding snakeheads, but they first showed up in the United States, I think, in like 2004. So they've been here for 20 years. Not once in the past 20 years have I heard or seen a fishery collapse because snakehead showed up. There might be a handful less bass or pickerel or other species, but the snakeheads, they commandeer their own part of the pond or the back bay or whatever, and the rest of the fish still have a lot of room to feed and to grow and to spawn. So yeah, I don't buy that 1 second. I don't think the snakehead is this dangerous thing that's going to eat everything in sight and leave nothing else.
Yeah, and I've gone down there a couple times and fished for snakeheads, and I'm by no stretch of the imagination like a snakehead pro, or I went there a handful of times and fished for snakeheads off of some starting tips from some buddies, and took a couple of tries, but I'm pretty confident in me going down there now and being able to catch snakeheads. In these places that I'm fishing for snakeheads, sometimes I catch more bass than snakeheads. Like, snakeheads did not take over this body of water. I'm catching bass trying to catch snakeheads, just like if someone went there bass fishing and was going to catch snakeheads as a bycatch, and they're going to get pissed off and they're going to kill it, whatever. I mean, that being said, if you want to kill the thing and eat it when you catch it, by all means, that's nothing wrong with that. But to think that if you kill every snakehead that you catch, you're actually going to save the bass fishery and whatever, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, think of it this way. How many times have you caught and released a green sunfish? Because that is a fish that is actually on the Fish and Wildlife hit list.
Yeah.
Supposed to kill every single green sunfish that you catch, and yet nobody does. They have not taken over. There's still plenty of other fish species left. So yeah, again, I don't understand how the thought gets out there that if you kill a bunch of these things, that it's going to solve the problem, or even if there is a problem to begin with.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all kind of on the same page.
I'm actually trying to catch a green sunfish. Like, I want to catch one.
Wait, you've never
Make good
caught
flathead bait,
dude? No, I guarantee you've caught one and you didn't even realize it. You thought it was a regular bluegill.
Really?
Yeah.
They look that similar to it?
Well, it's the same. It's the same shape. It just has different coloring, right?
Yeah, but I guess maybe I have caught one. Who knows? Yeah, Pennsylvania with the flathead catfish, it's the same shit. Pennsylvania's pretty much already accepted it as a game fish now. They have the state record. New Jersey hasn't jumped on board. That's another. There's no decimated populations of anything because of the flatheads. It actually opens up a whole new fishery for people down there that didn't have anything to fish for. Now they have these giant fish to go after.
Nature finds a way. That's it. It's that simple. Nature finds a way.
We're going to get sued because you said that. It's copyrighted by Disney.
What?
Nature finds a way. You stole that from Jurassic Park.
You think Disney made Jurassic Park?
But no, Universal.
Disney made everything.
Yeah, Disney.
That's what I've learned over the past.
And there's no way they could trademark that phrase. That's way too generic of a phrase.
Dude, that is the trademark phrase of Jurassic Park. Moving on, anyway.
Well, it's true.
Lard, before it gets too late, how do people get to your YouTube channel? How do they find you? What's your tags?
It's youtube.com/@fishing with Lard Almighty. Or if you just type Lard Almighty into the search bar, I'm sure a lot of my videos will come up.
Okay, my last question for him. How did you come up with the tag Lard Almighty?
You have Field and Stream magazine to thank for that. Like in the late 90s, they ran a satire piece about a fictitious diner that served cuisine that was deep fried or injected with cheese or both. And the final item on their menu was called the Lard Almighty Sunday Brunch, which was like an amalgamation of all of the other menu items. And I read that and it just kind of clicked with me. And I thought, what if I started calling myself Lard Almighty? Because that was really on brand with my self-deprecating sense of humor at the time. So pretty much since then, in some shape or form, I have been calling myself Lard Almighty.
Yeah, I mean, you're stuck with it now for sure. And I just wanted to throw in you've you've gotten rid of or never used any other kind of social media other than YouTube and njfishing.com. Is that correct? Those are the only two places where you post anything or interact?
Yeah, that's the entire extent of my digital footprint is YouTube and NJ Fishing.
And just so I could throw in there, at njfishing.com, anything Lard Almighty or anyone else has ever posted is on there. It can be searched, it can be looked at, old fishing reports, old pictures, all that. And that's one of the beauties of that site.
And YouTube the YouTube also stays. So if you subscribe to Lard Almighty's channel, you'll be able to watch all his old videos and also be notified as soon as he posts a new video, or even if he ever goes live, you'll be notified right away. So if you do fish New Jersey, think about hitting subscribe on Lard Almighty's channel. Lard, I want to thank you for coming on here, taking the time to come talk to us schlubs. Really do appreciate it. Chris thanks some people sometimes.
You're no more of a schlub than I am, guys.
Yeah, we're all just schlubs.
I wouldn't have it any other way. Lard, it's awesome talking to you again. This is your last chance to make fun of Joe before we let you go, if you want to say anything to him.
What do you got to tell me?
I think he does a good enough job of that himself.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Drop him out. I like that.
That was hurtful. All right. Thank you, Lard, for hurting my feelings. I hope you have a great evening and keep the line tight.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks,
take
man.
care, everyone.
Eddie Mackin continues to run the red-eye trips. He's starting to post more and more pictures of hybrids in the daylight. The hybrid bite on Lake Apacon during the day is finally beginning. The nights of sleeplessness might be coming to an end for me and Chris. Maybe back to fishing in the daytime for hybrids. We also have the pontoon boat booked for Sunday for Brian Cronk's birthday. Me and Max and Jen, Bruce Litton. There's 8 of us going out on a pontoon boat with Eddie Sunday. Those pontoon boats are also for rent with Eddie. If you wanted to go out on a pontoon boat with a bunch of people or a big group, Eddie's doing that now. I'd imagine the red-eye trips will probably be coming to an end soon. You probably have like another 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, did he say that, or because
he didn't say that? But I'd imagine once the night bite starts to shut. Once
the night bite doesn't shut off, it just turns into bass. You're night fishing for bass. I don't know if someone wants to night fish for bass. You don't think he's going to take them out?
No, he's
not you. He doesn't hate bass with a vengeance.
You know what? If you want to go fishing, just call Mackin and ask him. I don't know what he's doing, but whatever. He'll catch fish.
Dude, he'll take you out fishing on Lake Apacon for whatever the hell you want to do, as long as he thinks he can get you on those fish.
Yeah. He'll actually probably take you out for something that's not in the lake and catch one of those somehow, too. That's just the way he is.
If there's one in there, I'd believe he could catch it.
If there's one of them in there, Eddie will find it somehow. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Lard Almighty, longtime NJF guy.
Yeah.
We'll probably see him at the pig roast, I'd imagine, right? He'd probably be there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm sure if he can make it. That's how I met him years and years ago at like the old school NJ fishing Christmas parties. That's how I met him.
I'd imagine he'll be at the pig roast.
Oh, you know what I forgot to ask him? Back at those Christmas parties, he actually brought these little lures he made. They were like, you would have loved this. You should ask him if he still makes these. They were little chatterbaits, like for trout.
Really?
They were little, trout lure sized, like, that tiny, like, I think he tipped them with like those tiny Kitex. So you're talking like what, 2 inches, 2.5 inches, something like that.
I like
and
those.
It was a little jig head hook with a little chatterbait blade on it.
Yeah, he was really cool. I'd like to actually go fishing with him, or like I said, hopefully get to meet him at the pig roast. But if we got to set up something to go fishing with him, that would be cool.
He was at the last Christmas party that we did with. Oh, so you didn't meet him?
I mean, I met him, like, hey, shook his hand, but I didn't have a chance to, like, like sit down and talk to him, like, because I was too busy handing out too many prizes and and T-shirts and just craziness.
Yep.
The Max and Kevin requests, the emails did come in for Max and Kevin to host the podcast, so they are taking over the podcast for 2 episodes. The week of August. Yeah, the week of August 12th and the week of August 19th.
Dude, you got 2 emails. You got one.
No. I got a couple Facebook. I got a few on Facebook, and then I got a couple emails. Definitely enough to say, okay, Max and Kevin, they want to do it. So whatever. They're going to do some train wreck episode. I'll be watching both of them from my vacation and enjoying the flaming plane hitting the ground.
I'm not going to watch it.
Because this shit looks easy, but I'm telling you, it's horribly difficult to actually do this. It's going to be great. It's just probably going to be the best episodes ever. Can't wait for that. Hopefully it becomes a tradition. Who's the guest next week, Chris?
Next week we have... Oh, my calendar's not working. Give me a second here.
Okay. I have a 4-day weekend. Chris is flying out to Oregon to fish for white sturgeon. Meeting up with Justin Lerner, and I think, who else go? Is Nick gone?
No. So it's I did ask Nick. He wasn't able to do it. Why is my calendar not working? So it's gonna be me, Justin Lerner, and the guy from Duck Dynasty.
Guy from Duck Dynasty.
No, I'm just kidding. It's Katie's brother-in-law. He has a giant beard like the guys from Duck Dynasty.
I would be going sturgeon fishing, but like I said, it is the bass tournament at Merrill Creek. I cannot miss that. I must become a bass champion. It's my goal. Who's the guest, Chris?
I cannot pull up the calendar, but I'm 99% sure it is another YouTube channel.
All right, cool. Another YouTuber.
I believe the name of the YouTube channel is AVNJ. He's a fish biologist and an angler in New Jersey, so he has a lot of like unique insights.
Oh, that's cool.
I hope I'm right, because I don't know why this won't work.
All right, well, if you're not right, it's just funnier.
Yeah,
okay,
it'd definitely be funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with either that person Chris is talking about or someone completely different if he's wrong. Yeah. So everyone have a safe. If you're watching this episode, 4th of July was last night, but still a lot of weekend left. Everyone have a safe and fun weekend. Get out there fishing. Send your pictures in. Chris?
Joe, 4th of July. Are you right? Yeah, you know what? Whatever. I'm not even going to say anything. Oh, I got the calendar up.
4th of July is Thursday, so if you're watching this, it was yesterday.
You got it. And I did get the calendar up. I was right. Okay. AVNJ Fish. If anyone who is on his YouTube channel, pretty cool YouTube channel, he's definitely going to have some unique insights into the fisheries we have here with his background in fish biology. So,
okay, so we will be back next week. Have a great vacation weekend, holiday weekend.
Hopefully I come back with a lot of pictures of me swimming with 1,000-pound white sturgeons.
And hopefully me and John are Merrill Creek champions.
I'm going to see if the guy let me use a bobber for those sturgeon.
Goodbye.